think
How you doing?
I'm good. Well, I'm good. I'm glad to hear from you. We always seem,
Yeah,
we always seem to connect when we need to.
yeah. Let me just run in the living room, Angie, to get my
I'm not
tobacco.
interviewing you yet. I tell you why. I tell you why, because I got it in my head we're doing that tomorrow.
That's okay. I just
But
needed to set this up, and I've
yeah,
done
no,
it and
you've
find
done good.
myself.
Well done. Give yourself a pat on
I've
the
never.
back.
I'm a technophobe to the max,
So
and
am
I'm
I.
so bloody proud of myself.
So am I proud of you. There's a lovely, lovely woman who's dying, right, with COPD and all sorts. You know the woman that was saying about her half sister that was murdered. Her stepdad confessed. She's desperately,
Susan.
and she can't do what you just did. She's desperately trying to get on Skype. She can't even connect on Messenger. So she's furiously making recordings and just like, so it seems such a simple thing, but it's not. It's not.
I've had this computer a year, and I've only just started to muck around with it. I'm
Oh,
terrified of them. And my sister was a computer teacher. I used to say, teach me. She says, you're not ready. Every time. So is that, yeah, you got 2 years. So I was quite glad about that.
you said you were 6 months off. What did you think?
I thought he would get 18 months
Right.
concurrent, and he got 2 years concurrent.
Good, good. Well, I know for what he did, it's peanuts, but the amazing, brilliant, fantastic thing is he was found guilty. He's going down. All his pretense to his wife and his son and society that it's all a lie. It's all gone. It's all gone.
Angie, 2 minutes. My rolls are burning in the oven. I forgot about them. 2 seconds.
All right. Uh,
I'm not having any rolls because I've burnt them.
sorry, say that
I've
again.
burnt rolls.
Oh
Yeah, I've done
no.
a King Alfred. Was it King Alfred? He burnt the bread or something like that. Who was it? One
I
of them
don't
anyway.
sing a
He stopped
song.
them
It's a pocket full of rye. 4 inches. Birds, babe.
in a
Baked in
pie.
pie. Look,
When the bird began to sing, wasn't that a thing? The birds began to sing. Oh, I can't.
the king
Anyway,
was in his
something with the cakes.
counting out his money. The queen was in her parlour, eating bread and honey. Yeah, that's the thing I was thinking about. The king was in the parlour. No, the king was in his
Yeah.
counting. But the internet's not really good either. But we've done it. Look, we've done it. We've made the
Yeah.
connection. And I don't want to ambush you, right? So,
No, no.
I think I was so touched when you said to Sue, go ahead and disclose. It's worth it. I know it's agony, but you'll feel better. And I just thought, well, do you know what? Hot off the presses, why don't we do an interview with you? And just like you can go as truthful as you like, or as deep or as not deep as you like, but like every time a survivor comes forward, and not just comes forward, but bloody well goes to court and
Right, yeah.
wins, it's an inspiration. It's like all those other survivors thinking, no, I can't, nobody will listen to me. Look, no, it's not worth it. My niece took someone to court. She took my brother-in-law to court, and
Yeah.
he got 6 years, right, because he confessed on videotape. But the 6 years was suspended. He didn't go to
Oh,
jail.
right.
He didn't go to jail, and he didn't go on the sex offenders register. And the thing that brutalized my niece was almost all of my family sided with the paedophile,
Oh, which they all, most of them do.
which gave,
I
they
mean, look
gave.
at that. Look at that Cowland's wife. What has she even got to do with it? That was his second wife. She wasn't even up at Balnacraig or anything. I didn't know what her purpose was there, and why she was even going to witness. Do you remember when Remember when we was at court and he kept on appearing and he came through by the witness rooms? Well,
Yeah.
his wife was next door, but
Yeah,
that's
no,
not even his first wife. That
right,
was his second wife who wasn't even there at Balnacraig. So what
right.
the fucking hell was she doing there?
She was there supporting him, clearly. Clearly. She was there supporting him.
She was in
And
the witness room.
probably,
Oh,
no,
yeah,
but she was
character.
probably, yes, exactly. And the person my niece took to court was a brother-in-law that married one of my sisters, and she divorced him, but still, she stood up in
Yeah.
court and she lied. She said
Okay.
she never had any concerns about him with regards to their daughter, which wasn't true, right? Because she'd been to a solicitor and she'd found out that he'd given her daughter a secret mobile phone and he was meeting her after school every day because she had a full-time job. So she had an arrangement for her daughter where she would, I don't know, go to her neighbours or something. And
Yeah.
the ex-husband had figured that out, was meeting their daughter after school every day, gave her a secret mobile phone. And when my sister found out after about 6 months, she went to solicitors to see what she could do about it. She was asked about that on the stand and she denied it completely. She was asked had she ever taken legal advice with regard to her ex-husband being a danger to her daughter or blah, blah, blah. She denied it. And when we tackled her afterwards, she said, oh, I wasn't lying, I just forgot. And it was like, well, why didn't you then unforget and tell your barrister, you know, sorry, I got the answer to that wrong. I actually did go to solicitors. He actually did blah, blah, blah. I actually did have concerns. No, she left it sit. And her character reference saying that she had no worries about him whatsoever around her daughter and that, you know, blah, blah, blah. He wasn't put on a sex offenders registered and his whole sentence was suspended. But the bottom line is he got, my niece waived anonymity so that he would get exposed, right? He got exposed big time. He was found guilty of being a child abuser. It was on the front page of the local papers. There was no denying it. But my niece, now I'm going to see her, the good news is she's flying home for the inquest, but she said she regretted going to court because of how brutalised she felt by the family not backing her up, you know?
Well, that's it. A lot of people are frightened to talk out now, Angie, because, like, my mate's just got beaten up by our baby father. And I says, call the bloody police. But then the social workers start getting involved. She says, I'm not calling the police because then the social workers, I could lose my kids and that. And they're terrified to call police because social workers come up. There's adoptions, illegal adoptions and everything like that. They take your kids out of the home, a good home. And then the next thing they're adopted into other families and things like that. And they're making people scared to report kids things.
No, I know, but in a way, I don't agree with that Ian Joseph's one. He says if you find out your kids are being abused, don't report it because you'll lose them. But I was terrified.
I think I have to say,
I was terrified
you
of
cover
losing
it up just as bad as they are, I think.
playing into it because I was terrified of losing my kids all you know, their lives, and you know they got kidnapped. All three of them got kidnapped at different times, and you know my family tried to mount a thing to take my daughter and adopt her to another sister of mine. Blah blah blah. And when I finally, I think age 43 or 44, thought, you know what, I'm going to ask for help. I'm going to ask the social workers to help me. They were brilliant. They were absolutely brilliant. And I said to them, I've avoided you all my life because I've been so convinced that you would take my children off me. And I know they're not all good, but like I was in such a meltdown. I actually said to them, please take my boys into foster care. I can't cope. You need to take them for 3 months. I can't function. And they were saying like, no, you know, they could be in the system for 2 years. It might take you 2 years to get them back. No, we're going to help you. We'll support you, whatever you need. We'll, you know, if you're agoraphobic, we'll do your counselling in your house. What, you know, if you need support, we'll give you support. they were fantastic.
Brilliant.
But I put part of it down, like Sandra Utley, another woman she did all big expose on Dunblane, and she's just said to me, oh, I don't want to hear about God, like, you know, I can't deal with God, you know, how did God let this happen, blah, blah, blah. But the truth is, I prayed, I was so scared reaching out to social services, I prayed, and the senior social worker that was from Child Protective Services that came to assess the situation, he'd only been to college with my best friend from school. It's like, what are the chances? He'd been to college with my best school friend in England, and he was the senior child protective social worker in Ireland. So that's what I'm seeing. That's the God factor, where it's like, what are the chances? What are the chances? You know. So, and I've had social services do shit on me too. I really have had them do some bad shit. But anyway, so
some social workers, but like you say, there's good and bad in everything. You know what I'm saying?
The thing
I'm glad I got
people. If it comes to a case where people aren't reporting getting beaten up, because it might involve social workers who might decide to take their kid away. Because I remember seeing something about that recently where, because of a violent baby father, social services were saying, well, if it happens again, we'll just take the children. And it's like, well, why? What has the mother done? Other than make a very bad choice. Yeah. And I've apologised to my kids. I've said, I'm sorry for who I had. I don't know how to put this, like, without... I'm sorry for who your father is. I made bad choices. I said that to them. But I can't undo that. I can only do my best. You know, but I have apologised. Because, like, my daughter's father is a paedophile.
And you had no inkling of this? God. How did you find out?
Well, see, it was all engineered, so many paedophiles, but, right, when I, first of all, I didn't plan on having a baby with him. I was in America. I was only just newly emigrated, and he just pursued me like somebody hunting.
Right.
Like, literally like I was a prey, and he would not quit. Both fathers of my children did that. And then he caught me, you know, for weeks and weeks. I said, no, I'm not looking for a relationship. I'm not, you know, I'm not interested, and thank you very much, and blah, blah, blah. But then he caught me homesick and vulnerable, and I said, okay, all right, fine, we'll go dancing.
That's
you know,
wearing you down.
He wore me down, and then, of course, I used to drink, and so we went out, and I had a few drinks, and so we went in bed.
Shins lower, I've done it all myself.
Yeah. And then the next day, I thought that was really a mistake. I really shouldn't have gone there. But he had this thing that he told me later I didn't know about, that he always slept with women twice. Once for the conquest, and twice just to prove that it wasn't a one-off, if you know what I mean. It was like this sick game.
Yeah.
So a week, when we'd finished up the first day, I ended up saying something about I was going to a party at Friends the following week, and he said, oh, I'd love to come. And so, Miss Polite, I said, oh, all right then, blah, blah, blah. And so I kind of talked myself into a second date. And then all the week in between, I was thinking, I shouldn't have done that, I should have done that, you know, blah, blah, blah. But I was only 28, I didn't have the confidence to say, do you know what?
Yeah.
You know, cancel that invitation, blah, blah, blah. So I thought, well, I better just keep my word, and then I won't see him anymore after that. And that second date, I got pregnant with my daughter. And then he wanted me to have an abortion, and then I had a dream, and I couldn't go through the abortion, and I just decided to go ahead and have her. But that's beside the point. There's a big drama to all of that. But he had been married 2 or 3 times, and he had 2 daughters, and he got reported to social services for being inappropriate with one of his daughters from his first marriage. But he talked his way out of it. He charmed the social worker out of the trees told her he was Italian and they were very touchy-feely, and he hadn't realised his daughter had developed breasts, otherwise he wouldn't have been fondling them in public, and blah, blah, blah. But what happened was I left America when my daughter was 3, and then I took him to court for child support about 5 years later. Maybe not 5 years, 4, 5, 6, maybe 3 or 4 years later. So he started coming to visit her once a year in England, and he molested her on a visit when she was about 7, but she didn't tell me. And then he used to come once a year, and on that visit when she was 6, she was supposed to go off with him for a few days, and she didn't want to go, so I didn't make her. But what I didn't realise was he'd molested her the night before in my house. In my house, with me there, with my son there, with some foster daughter there. He'd molested her. And then when she was about 11, now I think he was molesting her every year he came on visits, but she doesn't remember. Right. She only remembers the 6 years one. And then when she was about 11, she had a nervous breakdown, and she got admitted to hospital with stress-related asthma, and they gave her a psych consult, and then she disclosed. And then I tackled him, right? I phoned him in America and said, what the fuck have you done? And Gabriella's just said this and blah, blah, blah. He was so clever. Like, he was a high school teacher. He was a millionaire property developer. He was blah, blah, blah. He was so clever. He convinced me and all my family that I had oversensitized Gabriella and that it never happened, and that he would fly to Ireland, do a lie detector test to prove it never happened, and that I had, put that thought in her mind. And he even quoted to me the false memory syndrome and all the scandals in America, blah, blah, blah. So for 3 years, I didn't believe my daughter. From 11 to 15, I said to her, so fucking good, so good he was. And then when she was 15, he came on another visit. He came every year. And when she was 15, he came on another visit, and he accidentally left behind some photographs of the Burning Man Festival. And also, I was a bit more sort of healing. Yeah. And it's suddenly, the penny dropped with